Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are going to get started with RealMotion Pro, a Blender add-on that makes working with animation a lot easier and simple. I'll walk you through the main features, including how to assign animations to different rigs, how to retarget motion to your own character, and how to save animation into your library. By the end of this tutorial, you'll have a solid understanding of how RealMotion Pro works and how it can speed up your animation workflow inside Blender. So let's jump in. So I have this character on the scene, and this is rigged with AutoRig Pro. Since this add-on supports AutoRig Pro, Rigify, Mixamo, and Addons, I'm going to append the others rigs into the scene. So here I'm going to append Rigify character. It's the same method using to append AutoRig. I'm going to create a new collection, going to append it. So to append, just go to File, Append. Now I have appended my Rigify character. So if you append your Rigify character, sometimes it comes with the rig UI script. So here I can just go here and run the script so that I can see the rig UI on here. Okay, so once I run it, I can see I have my rig layers on here. So the next thing is I'm going to import Mixamo character. Okay, so here to import any Mixamo rig character, make sure you go to File, Import, and go to RealMotion Pro FBS Import. Use this one to import your Mixamo animation or your Mixamo rig character. So I'm just going to click on it, and here I'm going to select my rig. Now this is what I have. Now I have 3 characters in the scene. So now let's get started. So here this add-on supports rigs, AutoRig, Rigify, Mixamo, and Addons. So here I'm going to use these 3 rigs as the demo, and after that I'll show you how to do for Addons. So now let's move on. So here first thing you have to do after you have imported your character into the scene is to check their response. So here when you select the character rig and you go to object data property, here we have this. So switch to response, and now you can see its response is T-pose, and when I select this one, its response is what? A-pose. So why I show you this is because the animations in this library were made in T-pose. So if your character response is A-pose or different pose, it's going to make the hands full. So I'll show you what to do if your character response is not in T-pose. So the first thing let's go to settings. And here I'm going to use the Rigify one for this example. So when you go to settings, assign your character rig here. So I'm going to assign my character rig. Since this one is Rigify character, I'm going to choose the rig choice to Rigify. That means assign your character rig and choose the rig choice. So when I select the character and I go to pose mode, I can see the hands is in IK, the leg is in IK. We need to switch into FK. So just make sure you have choose your rig choice and you assign your rig, and just click on switch FK. Once I go to object mode again, once I go to pose mode again, and now I can see now FK is the one taking control. So this is the first thing you have to do after you import your character into the scene. So now let me go back to object mode, and let's go to the animation tab here. Here I'm going to start with the Mixamo one, how to load animation to your character. So I'm going to select this is a Mixamo character, and I'm going to choose Mixamo because this is a Mixamo, and assign your character to it. So here we have category. You can switch by category and it will filter those animation in it. So here I'm going to choose all the categories, and I'm going to search for working. Here it will filter all the animation with work in it. So I'm going to choose this one. You can preview the animation by clicking on here, and this will preview the animation for you to look how it's going to look on your character. So just click on cancel. So after you have assigned your character and you have choose your animation, just click on load animation. Now we can see we have start frame, we have working start and working end. That means the working start on frame 1 and end on 25 because we are on frame 1 and we load animation. If you were in frame 5 and you load animation, it's going to start on frame 5. So it starts from the frame you are to where the animation is going to be end. Okay, let me go to frame 1 and load the animation again. So here when I preview, I can see the character is working and it looks fine. No hands is folding. So let me select this Rigify character, and here I'm going to choose this is a Rigify character and assign your character here. I'm going to load the same animation to this guy. So let me click on load, and it's working. But we can see how the legs is moving and the hands has been full. So this is because the response of this character is what is not in T-pose. So we have two ways of fixing this. One, using the virtual T-pose. Two, by converting your character response into T-pose. So let me show you the first method, using the virtual T-pose. After we have load animation to our character and you see the hands has been full like this, if the response is not T-pose, all you need to do is just scroll down to the virtual T-pose and yet click on calculate response. This pop-up will appear and will say start frame and end frame. Since the animation starts on frame 1 and end on 25, we can type 25 here and 1 here and click OK. We have use marker. When you turn on use marker, this will automatically detect the nearest marker. So here the nearest marker is 1 or 25, you can see here. So I'm just going to be inside the markers and I'll click on calculate response. And here it will automatically set the start and the end for you. Since it ends on 25, you see end 25. So I'm just going to click OK. And let's wait for some few seconds and it's going to fit the folding arms and the legs. Now you can see now he is walking straight. So this look nice. We can also go to next frame, like on frame 26. Since the animation on 25, I'm going to load another walking. Here the hands fold again because here we have not calculating this part. We have to load the animation before calculating. So here let's go in between where the hands has been fold and let's scroll down and click calculate response and then click OK. Now we can see also this hands has been fixed. So this is the first method. What about the second method? Let's go top here and here I'm going to select my character rig and I'm going to click on reset rig and marker. If you are going to click on this and you have not selected any rig and you click on reset rig and marker, this will remove only the marker. The animation will not be removed because you have not selected any rig. This will remove only the markers. But if you have selected a rig, it will delete the animation from the rig and the marker. So now you can see the animation has been removed from the character rig. So let's go to the settings. And here we are going to convert into T-pose. This is the second method. So here just go to and assign this a Rigify character and assign your character rig. Now make sure you have switched to F key and click import T-pose rig. And you click on automate and click OK. Now our character rig are going to look like T-pose. So when I go to response, it's still in A pose because we haven't applied the response to the rig. When you click automate and you click OK and you see the character leg has been rotated somewhere like this. Sometimes it can be like this and it's not straight. Make sure you go to pose mode and rotate the leg so that it will be straight like this. Okay, it's going to be look like this. And then click on after you have adjusted the rig to make sure it look fine. You can use apply response or apply response advanced if you have many shape keys. But this one is fast apply response. Now when I go to response, our response now is T-pose. Now let's go to the animation and here I'm going to load the same walking. Now I don't need to use the virtual T-pose again because now our character response is in T-pose. So anytime I load an animation, I don't need to go and use the virtual T-pose again. So that's nice. So I'm going to just reset all the animation here. Now I'm going to start over. By this one I'm going to use AutoRig character. So in the same method, after you imported your character, go to settings, choose this AutoRig character and assign your character rig. Now switch to FK, import your T-pose rig and click automate and click OK. Adjust the rig so that it will be like this if some of the legs are not straight. And just click on apply response or this one. Both of them are going to work. Now let's go back to object mode, go to animation, assign your rig, choose this AutoRig and just click on load animation. Now we see this guy also walking forward. no hand folding. So all of them has T-pose as their rest pose. So if you don't want to convert your character rest pose into T-pose, anytime you load animation, just go here and calculate the rest pose to face the folding arms and the legs. Now let's move on to the next steps. I'm going to select this character and I'm going to load working animation to it. So here I have intentionally created some problem and I will show you how to do if you encounter problem like that. I'm going to assign this and I'm going to choose this is a Mixamo character. I'm going to load this working animation to it, and now the character is going to walk forward. Let me hide the others so that my scene will run fast. Here the animation ends on 25, so I'll go to frame 26 and I'm going to load the same working again. When I load the animation, it starts from the root position because the other animation starts from the word origin. To make the character continue from where it ends on last frame, just select your character rig and scroll down, and here we have recall. So make sure you are on where it starts pop back. Here you see we have working start, so it popped back on frame 26, means the working start, and click on recall. This will move the character forward to make it continue from where it ends. So here I'm going to load the same working again. I'll go to frame 51 because it ends on frame 50. I'm going to load the working again and I'll scroll down and I'll click on recall. So I'll stand on frame, I load animation, and here he's going to continue walking forward. But you can see something here. When the character is moving forward, the leg is clipping through the ground as he's moving forward. You see how? So how to fix this? This one-time problem fix, just select the character rig, scroll up, go to settings, and down go to apply armature transform. Here we have face move down alignment, so just click on this. Now you see right now the character is going to move only forward, the leg will not clip in through again. So if your character is moving and the character is continuing moving downwards, you just need to click on this and it will face it for you. Once you do it, you don't need to do it again. And here I'm going to hide this character and I'm going to use the AutoRig character. Now I'm going to choose this AutoRig and I'm going to assign this one. Here we have so many animation here. I can go and select different animation and I'll click load. And that one is the one going to play. But here we have leg sliding adjustment. So what does this one mean? Let me use working animation for this so you can understand it well. So I'm just going to select the rig and I'll click load animation. The character is working fine. But sometimes when you load animation to your character and you see the character leg is sliding or dragging, we can use this one to fix this. When your character leg is dragging, that means the character is moving faster than its leg movement. What does that mean? Let me go and increase this one to maybe 0.2 and I'm going to load the animation again. I can see the character leg is dragging on the floor. Okay, let me increase a little bit for you to see. You see what is happening? The leg is dragging. That means the character is moving too fast. Sometimes the value can be 0, but your character leg is going to drag. So if you see the leg is dragging, just decrease this value to maybe decrease it small and then load the animation again. But for this character, the default value 0 working fine, so I don't need to just increase or decrease it. Okay, so if your character is also leg is sliding, example, the leg is sliding like this, that means the character is moving slower than its leg moving. So that means you need to increase this one. Okay, so for me this 0 work fine for this character, so I'm going to keep it like this. Now let's move on to the character direction. What does this one do? I'm going to use the same working animation for this example. I'll go to frame 26. I'm going to load the same working. I'm going to use a recall to make his continue from where it ends. So here I have the character continue walking forward. So what if you want the character to change direction? Example, I have let's say I have something in here. I have something here, and when the character reach this point, I want him to turn and walk to this path. Okay, so how can I do that? We can use the character direction to do that. So here we can go to frame. We want the character to start turning to change the direction. So I'll go to maybe on frame maybe 18. I'll select the character rig and go to character direction 2 and just click on add director. Once you click on add director, we can see this move director pop-up appear here and say direction. We can use the Z to change the character direction. So here I'm going to make it turn to here, and now let's preview. So once it reach here, the character is going to turn. Let me click cancel, and I'll do it again. So here I'm going to select character rig and click on this. I'm going to turn to this side. Okay, so we can see the character director is on frame 22. So make sure anytime you're going to change this, make sure you go to frame 22. I'm going to turn it down like this, and here is going to walk around it. Okay, so let's go to frame 22. I'm going to apply it. So here you can see when it reach here, it turn at just one frame. We need to use blending. Okay, so just click on apply direction, and here we can use one frame to blend. We can keep this one default settings, but for the blending, if you don't want to blend, just keep the value 0. If you want to blend, you can increase the value here or set it to 1 to blend with only one keyframe. So now let me preview. So once I reach here, you can see it 10. Okay, so let's see and walk. So once I reach here, I want to turn again to walk here. So I'm going to click add director, and here I'm going to turn it here. I'm going to apply and click OK. So now let's see. Okay, so once I reach here, I want to walk straight again. So I'm going to add and rotate it like this and click on OK. So we can increase the blending so that the transition will be smooth. Okay, you can see this one is smoother than the previous one. Okay, so make sure you increase the blending, or we can go to pose mode, select the root bone, this one, and we can just delete some of the keyframes here. Okay, so that is how to use the character director. You can use to change the direction of the character. Okay, and it works fine. If you see some bad rotation, just scroll down and use the fixable lock to fix any bad rotation. So here, what if you want to change the character location or the position at a specific frame? So example, let's say I have this cube here, and I want the character to walk on this cube. So what I can do is I'll select the character rig and go to frame. I want the character to start walking on the cube. So here on 26, you see we have start frame. The start frame say 26. If you turn this one off, you need to type the start frame manually, and the end frame is way higher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position the character in here and move it forward and position it here. Since it says start frame is 25, here the character is going to walk on the ground, but when I reach 26, it's going to jump to this one and start walking. So what if here I want the character to go down? Since the start frame is 87, I just go here and position the character on the ground. So here, let me preview up, and once I reach here, it's going to start walking on the ground. I can go forward, load the walking again. I can click on recall so that I have continuous walking. So on this frame, you can see the character jump down once. What if you want to use blending? Let's go to the frame, the character just jump down here, and I can go to pose mode, select all the bones, and here we can use the blending and then decrease the blending and click apply, and here the character will go down like this. So now we have learned how to use the character director, how to use the recall, how to use the Vitula-Tpose, the blending. Now we are moving on to the speed. But before I move on to the speed, let me talk about the ones here, the character direct in the F-curve tracker here. When I go to pose mode, I can see we have rotation, we have location, because we already talked about the location. Now let's talk about the rotations. Example, on this frame, I want the character to raise the hands up. What I can do is, on this frame, since the start frame is 29, I can raise the hands up like this. So the end frame is 1000. Since the end frame, there's no keyframe here, it's going to calculate to take all this one plus, because the end frame is higher than this. If you want the character hands rotate to be end on frame 60, just type 60 here. I'm going to rotate the character hand up like this. Now when I reach on 26, the character hands rotate up, and reach on 60, it's going to start dropping down. So because we define end on 60 and the start on 20 on 26, so that is how the rotation also works. If you see this pop up like this, just go to the frame, it pop down or it pop, and then just go to the blending, and we can blend the keyframe so that it will snap down like this. So that is how to use the location, also the rotation. So let's talk about the speed. What the speed does is we can increase the animation speed. If you are in object mode and you go to animation speed, when you increase the speed, it's going to affect the entire bone, but when you're in pose mode, it will affect only the selected bones. But here, let me go to object mode, and I'm going to make the character walk fast, starting from frame 1 to frame 30. So what I will do is I'll type frame 30 here. So anything I'm going to do is going to apply to only from frame 1 to frame 30. So here the character is going to walk fast. Okay, and here it's going to slow down. So what if you want to slow down by yourself? Since there's keyframe in here, we can just go to pose mode, select all your bone, and we can just drag this one to close here, so that we'll have something like this. So this faster, and here start working normal. What if I want to slow this part down? What I can do is I'll go back to object mode, and here I want to start on 15 and end on maybe I'm going to increase higher, okay, or maybe on end on frame 65. I'm going to type 65 here, and here I'm going to speed or decrease the speed, okay, make it slow. So now let's play. So you're going to work slow, and I'll go fast. If you see something like glitching like this, all you need to do is just select your character array, go to pose mode, and select all the key, and here we can set for smooth and type smooth keys, and it's going to look fine. So that is how to use the speed and the slow. Now let's move on to stay in place. I'm going to use the same walking animation as for this example. So I'm going to load walking. So let's go to the stay in place here. The stay in place is to use to lock the character in specific axis so that you can focus on other axis. Like if you want the character walking but not moving forward, how to do that? Here animation starts on frame 1 and end on frame 25. So let's go to F-curve tracker here and type 25 here, and here we can turn this one off and type the manual start frame here, or we can just turn it on and go to frame 1, and we want to lock it on here. Here this character use Y for up, Z for forward, and X for side, but you want to lock the forward movement and the side movement, and left with only the Y. So if your character using Z for up, make sure Z is off and the Y is on. This one, okay? So but this one it use Y for up, so I'll turn Y off and then click on apply stay. So we can see the character will continue walking forward, but it's not moving forward. So that is how to use the stay in place. So what about making the character walking loop? Example, the character walk and end on frame 25. So what if I want to the character continue doing the walking cycle repeat? Let's go to the character movement system here. Select the character rig and type the repeat number you want to repeat the animation. Yeah, I want to repeat it 5 times. Since the animation starts on frame 1 and on 25, I'm going to type 25 here and start on frame 1. So how many times do you want to repeat it? 5. So you're going to take from 1 to frame 25 and repeat it 5 times. So you just click on apply repeat. And now let's play. See, the character is going to repeat the walking cycle like this. So that is how to use the repeat and the stay in place. Okay, let me close this one and let's move on forward. Here we have reverse motion and we have post correction. So let's go to the reverse motion. I'm just going to reset this, load the same walking. The character is walking forward, but here I want to reverse the animation, maybe walking backwards. So let's go to reverse motion and select the character rig. The animation starts on frame 1 and end on 25. So I'll just make sure end in 25. I'll type 25 here and click on apply. Now we can see the character is walking backwards. We can go there again, apply, and now walking forward. So this is how to use the walk using reverse motion. Let me reset this. I'm going to load different animation like this one. This is walking left, so the character is walking left. What if I want the character to walk right? Since the animation on end on 29, I can just type 29 here. Let's go down here and go to frame 1 and click on apply. Here is walking right. Okay, so this is nice. We can use this one to reverse the animation, okay, or flip the animation. Just go here, you can reverse it again and you're walking this side. So if you want to reverse any animation, this is how to do it. Okay, we have moonwalking. I'm going to just click on apply and then I'm going to walk forward. Now let's move on to next steps. The next one is post correction. So what is post correction? I'm going to load any animation, like let me load this one, and the character is idle, but you can see the character hands is clipping to the body. Okay, so how to fix this? Select the character body, let's go to post mode, scroll down and let's go to post correction. Make sure you have disabled auto key. Okay, make sure auto key is off, and I'm going to pose the character so that the hands will not be clipping to the body. So I'll go to the frame, the hands is clipping to the body, and I'll position like this and I'll open like this. Okay, so I'll just adjust the pose where so that it won't clip to the body. Okay, so this one is okay, and let's select all the bone, or we can just select only the bones we just twerk and go here and click apply. Here the pop-up will appear and say 1 to 47. Because we say use marker, it automatically detects the start and the end frame for us. If you are not using the marker, just type the start and end frame. So here, since we want to start from 1 to here, but normally just use the marker and just click OK. Now let's see, the hands is not folding again, it's not clipping to the mesh. We can use this method to fix so many animation. Just select the rig, go to post mode and pose the rig where so that it's not clipped. Okay, So this one I'm going to push it where, and then I'll go to here and click on apply, click OK, and it looks fine. It's not only that, you can use that one to do so many kinds of things. Example, let's say I have walking, going to click load animation, and here the character is walking forward. Here I want the character to change the pose. Example like this, walking while the hands is doing something like this, and I can change the pose to be like this. Okay, and here I'm going to apply this one, and let's see. So now I can see the walking position has been changed. Let me set my end frame to this. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, you can use this method to change the animation pose to anyhow you want. Let's say you have animation like dance. Let me search for this dance. Here I can look like the character leg is sliding or drag, like wiggling on the floor. So what this happen is we can use the foot lock to make the character leg lock on the ground so that it will move. Let's go to the foot lock and select the character rig and activate. Now let's go to pose mode. After we have activated, you can just select the character rig and you can move the bone like this. But before, if it has not been activated, you cannot move that bone like that. If you press G and you move it, it will stretch the foot. But when you activate it, now when you go pose mode, you can use that to move the character leg like this. So let's position the leg to be ground like this. And here, since the animation starts on 1, start on here, frame 0, and end on frame 114. I'm going to position it and insert keyframe, go to apply and end on 114 and click OK. So now let's preview. I'm going to do the same for this leg. Position it and insert keyframe, apply the same. Now let's take a look. Now the leg has on the ground without slide. So this is how to use a foot locker in here. Now let's move on to the next one. Okay, so page 1 we have not talking about. I think we have talked about everything here except the selected bones only. What this one does is, let's say you're going to load animation to a character. So here when you select selected bone only, you can use this when you're in pose mode. You say set to pose mode and select bones only. Okay, so here I'll go to pose mode and make sure selected bones only is on. I want to load the animation to only this part. So load, and we can see the character is dancing without the hands involving because we apply to only the selected bones. So what if I apply to only the upper part? Okay, so I'm going to apply to maybe here, load, and this will apply to only the upper part of the body. Okay, so this is how also this one works. We can blend two animation together using this one. Example, walking. I can load walking, say like walk. I can load this walking, go to pose mode, and I can load this walking animation to all these bones. Okay, let me exclude this one here and load this walking. So the character will be walk while the hands is in idle. And now I'm going to select the hands bone, and this one I'm going to load walking holding gun. Okay, walking pistol. So I have this walking pistol and I want to make the character walking while holding pistol. So I'll load this. Make sure we increase this one. Okay, so I'm going to load this, and now we have this. Okay, so the character is going to walk while holding the pistol. Okay, so here I'm going to show you how to face if the character is not having a uniform scale or the dimension has negative number in it. Here I have this character here. When I go to the items, I can see the character scale is 0.01. That means this scale is not uniform. When I press Alt X, I can see the character scale become way big. Okay, so now let me unscale it, and here we need to apply the scale. And sometimes if you see there is a positive and negative number in the dimension, let's go to the RealMotion Pro and let's go to here, go to Armature Apply Transform and just click on Apply Uniform Scale. Now you can see the scale become 1 1. You can go here and see this is 1 1. Now let's move on to the retargeting part. When I go here in the retargeting, we have source armature and we have target armature. The source armature is the one that has the animation, and the target one is the one that is going to receive the animation. So let me show you how to do it. So here I'm going to set my path. So here when you download any animation from Mixamo or any other source, you can just import it by going to File, Import, and choose RealMotion Pro and use this one to import. If the ones are in library, just go to set path and click on here and set path. Now I'm going to choose any animation from this library. Okay, here I'm going to choose this one and import. Okay, so this is what I have. Now I'm going to set my source, which is this one, and the target is my AutoRig character. Make sure your rig has set to FK. You can go and turn and switch to FK. Okay, now click on build bone list and load preset. So here, since this one is Mixamo and this one is AutoRig, I'm going to load Mixamo to AutoRig. Now click on set root bone and click bind constraint. Once I click on that, you can see the character is doing the same animation as this one. It's doing fine, but you can see the character leg is not on the ground. To fix this, just select your character rig, press J and position it and move it down. You need to select the source armature. That's the one you need to select. If you select your own rig, it will move. Only select your source armature and position it so it can be on the ground. If the character scale are not correct, just click on calculate response. This will calculate scale and calculate the scale so that it will fit floating and working. So if everything look fine for you, just click on bake. But before I bake this one, let me bind different animation. So I'm going to set for maybe idle. So here I'm going to set my source to this one, calculate scale and bind constraint. So here I can see the character hands is what clipping through the mesh. How to fix it? Before you bake the animation, just select your character rig, which is the AutoRig, the target one, go to post mode. Once you go to post mode and select the hand bone, you can see we have got this space in here. I'm going to position this so that the hands will not be clipping. Now let's preview and I'll see it look fine. So I didn't tell you about this. When I go to object mode and I select this rig, I go to here and go to response. This one response is T-pose and this one response is what T-pose. That's why the animation match. But what if both of them have different response? I'm going to show you how to fix, how to solve if the response are not the same. So here we can bake the animation, and now after that we can just delete this one and we have the animation on our character rig. After you have baked animation like this, you can just go to custom library, go to dub sheet and go to here action editor. Here we have idle for bake. I'm going to copy this name, I'm going to paste it here, action. So I'm going to select that action, I'm going to type name for it and here I can just go to front view and use viewport render image, and I'm going to use this one to save this into my library. So I'll go to render and I'll export this, and I'll go to here and I'll delete this search. I can go to AutoRig category. When I go here, you can see we don't have this one here, so I'll go to my custom library. Since I already set up everything, just save your scene and just click on export. After you export, just go to the animation, and now when you click on here, nothing appear. Just refresh the list, and when you open it again, we have the idle for big AutoRig. Because we save for AutoRig, it will appear on AutoRig. You can only apply this animation to only AutoRig character. If you are going to save to the library, make sure you choose the rig type. If Rigify, choose Rigify. Mixamo, choose Mixamo. Dash, choose Dash. Here I can reset this animation and then just choose Dash animation, load it. And now it's going to work here. I can go to where it ends, load it again, and we are going to have continuous looping animation. So once you close and open Blender, these animations are going to save in your library and you can use it forever and for any AutoRig character. So let me show you what if the rest pose of the character are not the same. Let me go to new scene, and here I'm going to append any character here. Okay, so I have this character here. Let's go to RealMotion Pro and here I go to Retarget. So before we start, let me go to settings and I'm going to switch to this one, and since this one is AutoRig, make sure you choose AutoRig and click switch to FK. Here I have switched to FK. Let me go in here and choose the rest pose. The rest pose is what is a pose. So now let's go to retargeting and I'm going to import any character. I'm going to import animation. I have this red character here. It's Mixamo character. I have this animation here. It's Mixamo. So I'm going to assign that one as my source, and I'm going to assign my AutoRig character here. Now let's build bone list. I'm going to load Mixamo to AutoRig, and I'm going to set root bone. So here when I select this and I go to rest pose, I can see this one has T-pose as its rest pose, and this one has A pose as its rest pose. Now let me bind the constraint and see what is going to happen. When I bind, we can see the hands is folding. Look at how it is, because the rest pose are not the same. We have this feature called use current pose. How to use this? Let's go to from view. I'm going to select the source armature and I'll go to pose mode. Here I'll select the rig and press Alt R Alt Gen to reset all the rig pose. Let me click on bind, okay, and let's go to pose mode and reset all the rig. So here I'll go click this to see in front. Now I'm going to pose this character. Let me calculate this, okay. I'm going to pose this character so that it will be in T-pose. It's going to be A pose like our target armature. I'm going to open the leg like this and this one like this. So let me bend this arm like this small and do the same for this guy. So right now they match, okay. So right now their rest pose match. After that, go and click use current pose and click on bind. Now it has been fixed, okay. So this will tell Blender, hey, now this is the rest pose of the character, use that one to bind the constraint. So after I use that, I can see the hand folding has been fixed. So this is how it works. So right now when I select this one, I choose Respose, you can see the Respose has become a pose like the one we posed, and the animation is going to work fine. Just click on bake, and then that is it. After baking, you can just export this one into your library. Let me reset and do it again for you to see how it works. I'm going to import another animation like walking. Okay, let me set this one, and since this one has T-pose as its Respose, let me bind, so it's not going to work. Let me click on bind. I'm going to append again. Okay, let me turn this one off and click on bind. You see how it looks? The hands has been folded. So let me click on bind, select this, let's go to pose mode. I'm going to reset this and pose this one to be like a pose, and I'm going to align the legs one. Okay, so after that, click on use current pose, bind. That's all. Now it fits. Just calculate Respose and position it so that it will be on the ground. So this one works. Okay, so that is how this is going to be useful. After that, you can just click on bake, or you can go to pose mode, select the rig and check the rig as you want before baking. So let's just click on bake and continue. So this is what you have to do if the Respose are not the same. So after this, we can save into library, and that's all. So here are some of the basics of RealMotion Pro getting started. So after you have gone everything about this, so here I'm going to show you how to use for that. Okay, so let me go to my side panel here, and here I have my DAS importer. Make sure you have it here. So the first I'm going to do is I'm going to import my Genesis figure here. So I have imported into this Blender scene. Okay, so if you have here in this Blender version, I don't have the RealMotion Pro installed, so I'm just going to copy it and paste it in here. Okay, so this is my character here. If you have RealMotion Pro, you don't need to copy and paste into any, because I don't have it installed in here. That's why I paste it here. So after you imported your character, just select your character rig, go to RealMotion Pro, go to settings and open Cascader tip. Open DAS to Blender settings and click on off constraint. After that, select your character rig again and click Genesis to 8. Once you have done this, let's go to the animation, and here we can just assign our character rig to this is a DAS, and here we can load any animation to it. So here, since this character Respose is 8 pose, that's why it's made the hands fold. We can just use the Vitula-Tpose to face this. So once you load the animation, just scroll down and go to Vitula-Tpose and then calculate the Respose. So this will face the hands folding, and everything is going to work fine. Here's one cool tip I want to show you. I have this character walking and the foot are on the ground where I see it's not floating. So let me move on to maybe on 26 and load running, or I can just go here and load run so I can have blending. So I'm going to load running, and I can see on the running too, the character also running, the foot is on the ground. But once I go here and I want the animation to continue, because it also starts from the roots. Okay, so I'll go to where I start, and I'm going to select the rig and I'll click on recall. Once I click on recall, you can see the character start floating. The leg is not on the ground. So to fix this, just go to the pose, the character start floating on the ground or where the start is, and select the character rig, use the location and adjust so that it will be on the ground like this. So this will make it match. So let's see. Okay, so there's one cool tip you have to learn. Okay, so thank you for watching. If you are able to watch to this, then you have learned a lot about this add-on. But I will still continue making videos for a separate part. Example, for any separate part. Example, for character movement system, it has a lot of features here we can talk about in next time. Also, I'll walk through in depth for any function here or any feature here, so that you'll get to understand it better. So that is it for today, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.